Mastering obligation in English. Modal verbs in passive voice. Hello everyone and welcome back to our series on intermediate grammar. Today, we're focusing on an incredibly important and often tricky topic: using modal verbs in passive voice for different functions. Specifically, we're going to talk about expressing obligation using these tools. If you've ever wondered how to say what must, should, or could be done in a situation, this video is for you. Before we dive in, let's refresh our memory. Modal verbs are special types of verbs that express necessity, possibility, or ability. Some examples include must, should, could, might, and would. What makes them interesting in passive voice is how they help us express what needs to be done or is expected to be done. When we want to talk about obligation in English, we often use the modal verbs must, have to, and should. When used in active sentences, they're fairly straightforward. You must do your homework. You have to pay your taxes. You should exercise regularly. But when we turn these sentences into passive voice, the main verb becomes a past participle and the object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. This lets us talk about what is required or expected, often in a more formal or impersonal way. Here's how we can express obligation using modal verbs in passive voice. The homework must be done. The taxes have to be paid. Regular exercise should be maintained. In each of these sentences, we're focusing more on the action that needs to take place, rather than on who is doing it. This is a common way to express rules, regulations, or general advice. Now let's put what we've learned into practice. Here are some sentences for you to try converting from active to passive voice. 1. You must wash the dishes. 2. The employees have to follow the new regulations. 3. You should return the library books. And here are the solutions. 1. The dishes must be washed. 2. The new regulations have to be followed by the employees. 3. The library books should be returned. And that's it for today's lesson on expressing obligation with modal verbs in passive voice. Remember, practice is key when mastering any new grammar concept, so try using these structures in your everyday English. As always, thank you for joining us and keep up the great work with your English studies. Until next time.